Hello, this is Karen Elaine with Yasutomo, and I'm really excited about sharing with you some fun fish printing that you can do. Instead of a real fish, you can use a replica. Silicone replicas, they're available on several places. Just Google fish replica or Gyotaku replicas, and there'll be several places that sell them. I know that traditionally the real fish are printed with sumi ink, and I tried this on the silicone and it really didn't do very well. It just the ink kind of bubbled up right on top. So I'm going to tell you a bunch of the alternatives, including using sumi ink, but just to show you, these are some prints I did today, and using mostly acrylics, some sumi ink, and this one is entirely sumi ink. So you have rice paper or washi paper. The paper that I found that Yasutomo carries, the best is 6H. It's a reasonably priced, 9x12. It's a little thick, but it still works great. You can use 6JM. Now 6JM is a large pad, and it's really nice because it's soft but very strong. So you can get a nice print out of that. You can also use a paper we call Kozo, and Kozo, which I have a piece here, is it's a fine Japanese paper, and it's very thin, but it really takes the print really well. I think I'm going to pick this nice big one, this one here, so you can see it. And what you'll need is, let's say you're going to be printing with acrylics. You're going to need a palette paper, something like this. Maybe I'll just do it right on here for now. You're going to need your paint. You're going to need a soft brush. You can use a Hake brush. You can use just a soft watercolor brush, something that's not really stiff. And I'm going to use some blue acrylic paint. And I'm going to just put a little bit, because a little goes a long way. You don't need much. Just going to put a little bit here. And this is actually called, I believe this is a Prussian blue. And I'm going to also use like a kind of a turquoise. Oop, that's a lot. It's probably too much, but that's all right. And one thing that I found that I'm really enjoying doing is using a retarder, something that's going to slow down the drying time, and that gives me time to move around. Now, block printing inks will do the same thing, because water-based block printing inks like Speedball, they'll work great because they're slow drying like this, but I can create my own slow drying color right here. So I'm going to start with this brush, just a soft watercolor brush, and I'm going to mix up a little of the medium. Now the medium is also going to make it more translucent, which I think is really nice. And I'm going to use some of that medium and just kind of start painting my fish directly. Now I'm going to start with brushing it, but I probably will do some dabbing afterwards. But let's just paint the fish, and we get to take our time because we are not in a hurry. It's not going to dry really fast. I'm going to go around the eye, and I'm going to just keep it off the little eyeball. And there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that in a moment. I'm just going to get in all the areas of this fish. Now, if it was a real fish, you would just take a real fish and you would dry it off and put some paper towels over it and really get that dry. And that's how you would probably work with that. Now, if you get some ink on or paint on your eye, just rub it up. Just get it off the eye, because you don't want to paint that eye. You want to keep that perfectly white. That's going to become a focal point later on. Put paint on, like I mentioned, not too heavy, but I'm just going to go a little heavier right now, and then I can blot some off. And just using that medium kind of as a way just to make it slower drying, and I can take my time. I don't want the paint to dry on the fish before it's ready. Paint on whatever colors you want. I thought this was a blue, but it looks kind of more like a black. I thought it was a Prussian blue. Let's see, I'll mix it with some of the medium. And I'm actually painting on this because directly on the this mat here, or not mat, the palette pad, so I can take it off and put it on my clean paper that's underneath. So you can go ahead and when you're doing it, you can get it on this background, no problem. What I'm going to do is after I've done this, I'm going to take a little Hake brush and I'm just going to get that paint more into the grooves of the fish. And if you had a real fish, you would be lifting the gills. You would be doing some things to get that paint on it. So, okay, so now I've got that pretty much covered. And it's not really heavy, but at the same time, I'm going to take my Hake brush and I'm just going to kind of tap so that I don't get any streaks, and it's also going to go in the fish, all the little nooks and crannies there. Okay, I think I've got a light amount of coverage, but we don't want it too wet and we don't want it too dry. So I'm going to take the fish, I'm going to lift it up, I'm going to put it on a clean surface, and I'm going to take I'm going to take the Kozo first because I want you to see the best paper. And well, this may be 6 jam, but anyway, the lightest weight. I'm just going to lay it on I'm just going to let it drop right on, and you're going to see, if I just let it drop now, you can see when I'm just seeing that there, it's coming through. Now I'm going to start at the head, and I'm just going to gently rub, not in a rubbing way, but I'm pressing down, and now that it's on, I don't want to move my paper. And because the fish has a regular shape, I'm going to have to kind of move around. And this is the part where you take your time and you just kind of just gently mold your fingers around and inside the grooves. This is actually, Gyotaku literally means fish rubbing, or some people say fish printing. But this is the part where this is the most, where you take your most of your time. And you don't want it moving around the paper. If it moves or shifts, you'll get a double print. And you don't want that. So you can see some of these delicate features or scales are coming through. And can you imagine, this is a replica, what it would be like using a real fish. But I think in some cases, or in most cases, we want to be able to do this without having to use a real fish. So the replicas are great. I think, though, the ones with the real fish can be really interesting. I guess you can go to a market and buy a fish at the market and do it that way. But it's a way that fishermen in the old, in traditional times would be able to show people, hey, this is my fish and look how big it is. So this is also, if you are a fisherman and you want to have a replica of your fish before you eat it, this is a really great way. So I think I've got all the little bits all on. I'm just going to get that head. Now I've pretty much done what I need to do, and I think because it is a slow drying ink, I can just take it right off. That is a beautiful print. I'm just going to take that off. It really came out nice, and it does have that slow drying ink, or the medium is really, it's going to take a while to dry. Now, the next thing. So you notice I have the eye that is left blank. Now this is a very important part of this process. I'm going to take, I could actually take some sumi ink. I'm going to do that. Whoop, black. Take a little black sumi ink, which this is actually Yasutomo, the KF series. And I'm going to take a little brush, a small brush. I have the fusion brush here. And I'm going to put a little bit of ink in my, ooh, it has water in there. Oops. I didn't want that to have water. And I'm going to add just a little bit of this medium because I don't want it to spread on the paper. So I'm just going to put a little medium. And you can do that with sumi ink. You can add acrylic medium to it to make it more waterproof. But this time I just want it a little thicker than the sumi ink. You can also let sumi ink dry or evaporate. Let lots of that extra water evaporate, and you can do the same thing. So I'm going to make an eye circle, and this is where you just take your time to make a nice circle and then fill it in with the black. So basically your fish is going to have a focal point. The eye is the focal point. And if you just take your time on this, you are going to get a beautiful finished piece here. Okay, so I've got the black, and then I'm going to do another layer, and I think it'd be fun to take some Gansai watercolors. And I'm going to kind of make this pretty thick because I want that gold around the eye. And I'm just going to go around the eye, but I'm going to kind of go away from that black. I'm just going to kind of just go around, and this probably will soak in a little bit. No, it's actually going in pretty nice. There we go. Just made a circle of gold, of Gansai watercolors, and that's the focal point. One more thing, I'm going to take maybe another color, maybe some of this vermilion color mixed with a little of that gold. So the great thing about this is you can make this a mixed media piece, some of that, and you can make it as colorful or as simple as you want. Now this is soaking in, which is kind of nice. I'm just kind of going slowly, and that color, I have a lot of water in it, so it's just kind of creating that nice spread, which I was hoping for. So that is, let's see, one more thing. I'm going to take some of this paint, some of the blue paint that I had started with, and I'm going to just go around this a little bit right in here, just for that focal point. And then you can also take little bits, if you want to, with your either watercolor or your paint that you already started working with, which I'll just take some of this. And you can create little areas if you want to bring out certain areas. If you want to bring out the base, you can just kind of take your brush and just kind of go in areas that need a little bit of enhancement. You can turn it around. With this, you can make your own. It can be your fish can be uniquely yours. Just little soft little areas here. I'm just going to bring some just to kind of finish it off. You don't have to do this. It's just a thing that I'm trying, and I think it just looks really good because it really kind of encloses those areas that are maybe not quite finished. You could even kind of go like that. But that's up to you if you want to just bring some shapes out. You can also just bring more here. And then also I'm thinking it'd be fun to just do a little bit under this gill area, just to kind of bring that out. If you keep your paint dry, if you make it really wet, then what happens is that it will spread on the washi paper. So just kind of keep it dry, and you can just kind of add color and highlights, or lowlights more. The paper itself will retain the white areas. So I'm just going to do a little bit more, just to show you that you can keep adding little subtle details to bring out qualities of the fish that you may have missed during the first printing pull. And it happens, like I didn't get in every little groove, but I do see areas that I want to bring out. So there is the fish with the acrylic paint. And I'm going to quickly show you also how, if you want to do it more the pure way, I'm just going to go ahead and use the same fish. And it's got a little residue, but that's okay. I'm going to take my sumi ink, which is right here, and I've got a little medium. I'm going to use that medium because it really helps to slow down the process of drying. And this time I'm just going to use this brush. This is a Hake brush, sheep hair Hake. It has a lot of fibers to hold lots of ink. And I'm going to put this fish back up here so that I don't mess up my printing area. And again, just put it on, and if you get it on the eye, just wipe it off with maybe your fingers, or you can, if you feel you want to, just wipe it off with your with a Q-tip, that's even better. Just kind of go around. But I'm going to try to avoid the eye area if I can. I'm just going to give the mouth really good. And I'm not worrying about getting it on my, got it on the palette, so no worries. I'm going to wipe that off there. I'm going to go all the way around the sides of it this time. This time I just got sumi ink mixed with a little bit of the retarder, or the slow drying medium. And there's a couple of brands, they make this. Okay, so now I'm going to tap, 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 because I don't want brush strokes, I don't want blotches. So I might even go a little, kind of pull off some of that extra paint, because I think doing this will bring out more detail on the fish. Okay, I think it's ready. Kind of has a nice kind of a glossy look to it. And because I have that slow drying medium, I am not worried about hurrying up. I think just taking my time is the best thing. Take your time and really enjoy this process because it is really fun. All right, now I'm going to take this fish and move it off my palette. And I'm going to take some, let's see, this one's, I believe this one is 6H. I'm just going to put it on. I hope I don't have too much. I might have too much ink on, but we'll find out. You're going to tell me right away. And I'm just going to take my paper. I'm going to lay it right on top. And you can see right away the color is being transferred onto the fish, or onto the paper. Now, same thing. This is a little harder. The paper is a little crisper, so this is 6H. It is a little bit more heavy. So you have to just take your time and go around the fish and just kind of start at the top, maybe the head, and then move your way down. And just don't shift the paper. Keep it in the same position. And you might even moisten it, which I'm going to try right now. I've not done this before, but I'm going to moisten the back of my paper just a little. I'm just curious to see what will happen. It's going to make it a little bit easier to transfer. So I just sprayed it with a very fine mist spray. And I think that will help to mold the paper around the fish without it being crunchy. There we go. Get right in all the little grooves. Get all the little bits and pieces. And the scales. You just go around and wait for it to kind of mold itself around. So moistening, this is something I have not tried, but moistening the paper very slightly, not to make it too wet, has made a really big difference in the way it's accepting the, basically the paper is coming around, is molding around a lot better. Okay, so let's see. And this is always the fun part, is how is this fish going to look? It looks pretty good to me so far. All right, let's do a pull. Let's find out. And there it is. So that is beautiful. Now this one, oh, beautiful, beautiful. I see every little detail. I see, oh, it's just fabulous. So this one, I will probably do a gold eye. Well, first I'll do the black. I'll take that black ink, or black acrylic. Maybe this time I'll just use some black acrylic. Very little. I don't need a lot. And I'll just go right into the center and make a focal point. Right in the center. And you just want a nice, as much as you can. You can make a sort of a highlight on the eye too. If you wanted to just have a little bright area. The white of the paper is going to be the white of your, if you have wanted to do a reflection. And this is where you just want a nice sharp, everything else is all soft with the print. And I just want to try to make that a little bigger. Take your time, I'm just cover that up. Take your time with this part, getting as best as you can, getting a nice symmetrical circle. Yeah, as best as I can do. It's not quite a perfect circle, but it's going to have to do. There we go. Go around like that. Now, I'm going to take, I think I'm going to do a blue, some maybe, or a green. Let's see. Try some green. And this time, I'm just going to put This is Gansai watercolor, by the way. And it's perfect because you can make it really thick. Trying to get all the excess water out first. And I'm just going to go around the eye, making kind of a nice green halo around that black circle. And I think that's good enough. I'm just going to leave that for now. And there it is. And if I wanted to add watercolor, I could, but I'll wait for that to dry. But I hope this tutorial helps you with some of your own Gyotaku fish rubbing printing using silicone replicas.